Welcome to All About the Experiences. Here it is. We're on our third show. I cannot believe this. And they say as you continue to do things, it becomes a habit. So this is a habit that I'm really excited that I'm forming. With this being the third episode, I am so pleased with all the feedback that I've been receiving. I'm also pleased to continue with this weekly journey and being inspired weekly by guests. I've been very fortunate. I have a great deal of wonderful people, whether it be hospitality, culinary, just everyday people that impact my life and that I'm sure will impact yours as well. And so with that being said, I want to thank Russell Edmond of Russell Hotels. He was my guest last week for just giving us so many great insights in the hospitality space. And I want to make sure that none of you miss a show. So make sure that you click the subscribe button. And I just thank you all so much for your support. Now, today's guest is someone who is very near and dear to me. She is a native of my hometown, East Oakland. What? I just have to throw that out there. I'm from the town. I rep it every chance I get, and she's going to be repping that with me. She is well respected in the culinary community, and her passion for food and style, let me just say that, because this woman is very stylish, has begun, or it began, I should say, at a very young age. She learned from a young age that food and hospitality were the way to people's heart. And let me tell you, she has found her way to my heart for sure. She has definitely captured my heart, not only just through her genuineness, but also through her delicious dishes and her infectious personality. And I'd like to think that, you draw in people who are similar to yourself. And so I try to give of myself, even in my culinary delights as well. I can't say that I match any of her culinary skills, but I definitely love to pass on my love through food. Well, let me go on to also tell you that she has served in many roles in the hospitality space, and being like from an event planner to a caterer to obviously this executive chef that we will all learn a lot about today. And I've even partnered with her on a personal event, and that was wonderful when we were able to connect and really share different experiences. And I have to tell you, no matter who I get in contact with, I learn something from. And this young woman, you will learn so much from. I believe that her decision to embark upon a culinary career has been one of her best decisions to date, aside from all the other wonderful things that she's involved in. She is the executive chef and owner of Roux Catering, and she also has her newest adventure that kicked off in February of this year, pre-COVID, of the Magnolia Street Wine and Lounge Kitchen. She's known for her grit, and for anything that she can take on, she's got it. But she's also known for her grits that go into your stomach and make you feel so good. And it's a part of her that you ingest, well, the food at least, I'll say that. And it makes you feel good. It's nothing like some Southern home cooking to make your soul feel good. So without further delay, I want to welcome to All About the Experiences, Chef Leilani. Welcome, Chef Leilani. I'm so glad to have you here. I think I have a thing. I have you on mute still. There we are. Perfect.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Thank you for such a lovely introduction. Like, you almost made me cry.
Oh, well, this is all you. And let me tell you, you bring so much to the table. So
thank you so much. I'm just really, really glad that, I'm very proud of you. And I love this podcast. I've been listening. I don't listen to any podcast, and I listen to yours. Even though it's only the third one. I've listened to it twice now.
I love it.
Mostly to get tips because it's my first podcast.
Wonderful. Well, I'm so pleased to have you here. We have lots to cover today. So without further ado, I want to get into it, but I want my listeners to know a little bit about you and what fuels your passions and how you even became Chef Leilani.
I think it was by accident.
Hey,
It was mostly by
accidents
accident.
produce some of the greatest things, right?
Absolutely. So I am coming live to you from St. Helena. I am at Hall Winery today. And, for those of you who don't know me, wine is a super passion of mine, along with cooking. And so that is why we decided to open a wine lounge and restaurant, or wine lounge and kitchen. I was born and raised in Oakland, California. Keep it Oakland.
Love
And
it.
as you said, I'm an East Oakland native, but I was born and raised in West Oakland as well, which is where our latest endeavor, Magnolia Street, is. I've been cooking professionally now for 7 years. Before that, I was a CMP and a meeting and party planner for 20 years. Wedding planner extraordinaire. Like, I hate weddings now, but it's okay. But that's what I started with. I've always been in hospitality in some way, shape, or form. I did corporate meetings and social meetings for a long time. And that's how we met because we're related technically.
We are.
We are related by marriage, but the fact that we are in the same industry like really blew my mind and drove my husband crazy, I'm sure. But as a meeting planner, we spend the majority of our time in the kitchen making sure our food is correct and making sure that meals go out on time. And so I was always in the kitchen. And basically what happened is I found myself throwing a party, being the party planner, throwing a party for a friend of mine who asked me to cater it. And I said, okay, no problem. 10 people, I can do that with my eyes closed. And then he called the day before and said, it's 40, have a great day, and hung up the phone.
Talk about having to pivot, right?
Total pivot. And what I didn't realize is that 3/4 of the people in the room were professionals. And before we even left out, I already had catering gigs booked with Fortune 500 companies like Deloitte and Touche, Reed Smith, and I became a corporate caterer overnight. And I had no idea what I was doing, none whatsoever. I didn't know anything about health permits. I didn't know anything. And so that journey started. And, before you knew it, I was like slinging plates out of my house and out of the back of my truck. And then the opportunity arose to actually step up and do a lot of corporate catering for a lot of people. And one of my mentors explained to me how things are supposed to happen. You're supposed to be in a commercial kitchen and, things like that. You got to get a health permit. So we followed that, and I was no stranger to creating businesses, and this just seems something natural to step into from the meeting planning. And as you know, we did incentive travel and things like that. So I've had the opportunity to experience food from all over the world, and but no food rang truer than Cajun Creole for me. I love New Orleans. I love the South. And that's what we bring. And that is our staple. That's been our staple at our first restaurant, Roux and Vine. And that is the staple of Magnolia Street. So long story short, we broke ground last year.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I am so proud of you.
Restaurateur, caterer, wine connoisseur. It's been a wild journey. I get to meld the two things that I love the most outside of my husband and my kids and my grandkids. I get to
and
meld
no
them
one would
together.
believe you're a grandmother. Can I just say that? I mean,
oh God, I have 3 grandchildren. 3.
It's incredible. I mean,
3.
and I'm just going to say it because we're in the day and age where we're celebrating each other, but we're also celebrating our Blackness. And I know that you are biracial, both Black and Chinese, and you represent both sides so very well. But when I tell you, you bring that Blasian girl magic, absolutely you do. And it shows in how you carry yourself. It shows in your food and just how you connect with people. You're one of those people that I have found, especially when we're traveling in our hospitality circles, is that people gravitate towards you. They want to know more about you. And I get that. I get the reason why. And so I want to kind of go back a little bit and ask you, like, I know that you have coined, and you tell me if I'm saying this correctly, Cajun, which is your Creole and Asian fusion food, correct?
Absolutely. It's Cajun and Asian put together.
Cajun and Asian together.
So our the first cookbook that'll be coming out in December, right in time for Christmas, is called Love from My Cajun Table, which is the CASIAN, and it is a fusion between Cajun and Creole food and a little Asian twist in there, and then vice versa. So growing up, I had both of my grandmother's food, and it all goes down the same way, so why not put it together from the gate?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's what we do. We do traditional Cajun and Creole food. And it's interesting because a lot of people don't know the difference between Cajun and Creole. So I look at it as an opportunity to introduce new foods to people and explain to people where it came from and why it came that way. And,
definitely. I want you to educate me and our listeners on
that. And the thing is for me, I don't care what I'm cooking. I could be cooking Italian food, and as long as I do it with love, that's my main point. And a lot of our customers literally text message and they're like, I felt the love in that food. I tasted that. Like, did you put your extra foot in there? Because
I love it.
everything we do, we make sure that, we're there and we're present in each dish that we put out. Now, sometimes, I'll be honest, sometimes the plates are thrown together, but they're going to taste really good because a lot went into the preparation.
Well, I have to tell you, my favorite are your grits. And I know that they have become a town favorite in Oakland because I hear other people talking about them. And it always makes me want to be on the first thing smoking to get home. Which reminds me, I want to kind of tie that in because we're both Oaktown girls,
Yep.
We know that we come from what my grandmother would say, good stock, and we come from a place that is so rich in a culinary culture as well as so many other things that make Oakland so diverse. And I want to ask you, how do you tie that in? How do you tie in your Oakland roots into your dishes as well?
I mean, I think mostly for me, it's the connection. I mean, I was born and raised in Oakland, and I still live in Oakland. So I'm a town girl too, and it's all about town business. And I think for me, that was one of the reasons why we came to Magnolia, was because I grew up on Magnolia Street, which is 2 blocks away from my restaurant. Because a lot of people right. A lot of people thought that the Magnolia was representing the South and things like that. And it's just like, no, dude, it's representing West Oakland where I grew up. So,
gotcha.
That is one way that I'm representing. I mean, and then there's the thing is that Oakland is so diverse in terms of the culinary culture that's there. There's definitely a food culture that surrounds the Bay Area, unlike a lot of other places, because we're like a one-stop shop. You can get everything that you want in Oakland. And, my goal was to make sure that when people were looking for Cajun Creole food or good Southern food, that they would come to us because they knew it was made with love. They knew they were going to get some good portions, and they knew they were going to go to sleep afterwards, pretty much. So, and it's funny that you would bring up the grits because I don't eat grits, right?
How do you not eat those delicious grits? Are you kidding?
I don't eat grits. And if I do eat grits, they have sugar and butter in them. Don't judge me. I am not judging you
because I have to tell you, I didn't get into savory grits until I had yours, because I am a sugar and butter and occasionally a little evaporated milk in there too. Let me just say. So the fact that you have converted me from being a sugar grits girl over to savory grits says a lot.
Well, my stepfather, you know, who I just call my dad, but my stepfather would always ask me for grits with salt and pepper. And I was like, oh my God, that's so gross. Why ever would you want that? That's so nasty. And then he was just like, just do it, girl. So I did it. And then when I started cooking more like the shrimp and grits and things like that, you know, shout out to my mentor who taught me how to make the shrimp and grits.
And who is your mentor? Give that shout out to your mentor.
I have several. I mean, that's the thing, is that the Bay is so full of amazing chefs. I mean, I could sit here for an hour and shout out all the amazing food that I've eaten over the past 3 months during COVID, because it was absolutely a mandatory thing for me to support other chefs. Because as you probably know, our industry has been so severely impacted by all of this.
Certainly.
You know, a lot of us survived off of corporate catering. We were making our living off of corporate catering, and then one day it just stopped.
Right.
And then you have those caterers who don't have a restaurant. They're catering out of kitchens, they're catering out of other places. And then, you know, they were struck with, what do we do now? You know, so
how have you pivoted in this space? I mean, it's the dreaded word that everyone is talking about, the P word, pivot. But how is it that you pivoted in this space post-COVID?
I mean, we're still in COVID. So the thing is like, I've had several conversations. I'm trying to say this in a politically correct way.
Don't worry about that. This is all about the experiences, and we want you to say it exactly how it is. We need people to understand what this is from your perspective. So
there are many of us who cater who had a severe issue with going from, you know, catering, doing corporate catering for 200 and 300 people, or doing events for 200 and 300 people here, and, you know, to having nothing. For me, it wasn't a super huge pivot, because remember, I just told you I used to sling plates out of my house and out of my truck.
Indeed.
And so I said, you know what? It's time to go back into pop-up mode, basically. Okay. And so that's what we've been doing. Technically, we're open for curbside and pickup, but we operate on a pop-up style basis several days a week. And basically what we've done is we've taken a portion of our menu and make it available for regular everyday pickup. That starts next week. Okay. But in the past 3 months, we've just been doing pop-ups Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. Okay. And then I've allowed other chefs to come in on other days to do their own pop-up, so that they can actually get some traction moving and things like that. But for a lot of my peers, it was difficult, because when you're used to corporate catering and you've never slung plates, it's a difficult move. I remember a colleague of mine calling me crying on the phone saying, I don't want to fry chicken. I don't want to sling plates. And I'm like, girl, you better fry that chicken and you better sling your plate, or you're not going to get paid. You need to people want comfort. So whatever is selling, you need to be able to provide. You need to be able to provide that.
Yes.
But for a lot of people, it was difficult for them. They didn't know how to do a pop-up. They didn't know how to reach out to their clients. And so I actually consulted maybe 4 different caterers to try to help them navigate through COVID, and to try to get them to think differently and think outside of the box. And, you know, yeah, we're used to, you know, making 30 and 40 racks a week based on corporate catering, and then all of a sudden it stopped and you don't know what to do. And it's just like, yeah, now you got to make that $16 fried chicken and fries plate. So come on with it. Let's do it.
And, you know, you mentioned that you consulted with about 3 or 4 other, you know, caterers. And on my first, I don't know, and I know you've listened to my podcast. My first inaugural was with Dr. Pamela Hardy Shepherd,
which was awesome.
Thank you. I'll be sure to pass that along to her. But with that being said, one of the key components that we discussed was lifting when you lift as you climb and you're helping others. And I know, I mean, when it comes to the culinary scene, you are a very tight-knit community. So tell me what that's looking like. I mean, I know that you shared that you're consulting, but also what other things are you doing specifically in the Oakland area to bring that culinary family together?
So I'll just keep it 100. It's not a tight-knit community.
Oh,
We know each other. We all know each other.
is it because of the competition or?
It's a couple of different things.
Okay.
And for me, it's been an eye-opening experience, and it's been disheartening. And at the same time, it offers me the opportunity to create a different space.
Gotcha.
So when I turned 13, I had a house party at our apartment, right? I have always suffered from not being Black enough and not being Chinese enough. And then my white friends, they just didn't know what to do with me, right? And I had a birthday party, and I couldn't understand why nobody was dancing with each other. Nobody was talking to each other. Everybody was talking in their own cliques, in their own, in their own groups.
Right.
And I was heartbroken because being biracial and being from families that are so loving to each other, I didn't realize that that was a rarity. The fact that my Chinese grandmother loved my Black father and his mother, that was like unheard of. And what I didn't realize is that her sisters shunned her for years for allowing her daughter to marry a Black man. And for my uncle he's married to a Creole woman. And so I didn't realize that at the time until I got older. And so I felt some kind of way, and I was just like, why isn't anyone talking? Why isn't anyone dancing with each other? Why is everybody being all cliquey and, blah, 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 blah. And my mother tried to explain to me that, sometimes people just don't know how to connect with other people. Sometimes people don't know how to hold their hand out and extend themselves to another race, to another culture.
We see that more evident right now than ever before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in the culinary world, I mean, I'm emotional. I'm an artist. Culinary is art. And I'm sensitive about my shiz. Like, I am totally sensitive.
Just call it what it is. You're sensitive about your shit because it's good.
I am so sensitive about my shit. And I'm so sensitive to the fact that there's such a layer of ick. That's what I'll call it. A layer of ick, a layer of bullshit that exists amongst the culinary world. And basically, there's enough for everybody. And I just don't understand, even in COVID, there's enough for everybody. And I just don't understand why people act the way they do. And I'll just say this, the culinary world is just as cutthroat as Wall Street.
Gotcha.
But we got real knives.
Hello.
Right?
That's a perfect segue into, because I saw that you were a part of a gauntlet, if I'm not mistaken. Tell me what that was about.
So the knife fight gauntlet is put on by Eat, Play, Catering, and Events.
Okay.
And that would be Ahmad and Aaronette. Aaronette is an established caterer, and her husband, and they planned an event. I think this is the third year that they're going into, and then COVID hit. And basically it's a cooking competition, which had been amazing. This past year, or last year, was the first year that I competed. I'd never competed in anything ever in my life outside of trying to win the radio by selling more magazines and wrapping paper. And so it was a really great experience. It was down in Jack London Square. And basically I fought it out with like real chefs. Even my sous chef was a real chef. Like, I didn't go to culinary school. I just happened to know how to.
But that doesn't make you not a real chef, because you're as real as they come.
It doesn't, and it takes a while. Like, every time somebody calls me Chef Leilani, I kind of giggle on the inside because I'm like, I'm
You
just
earned those
Leilani.
chops, sister. Let me tell you, you have earned your chops. I mean, if I can, and I'm looking at your website right now, and just the affiliation that you had where people have reached out and handpicked you. Now, please, I want my listeners to know what I'm talking about. Recently, you were on a Food Network
Can I
show.
get Sauvignon Blanc?
I love it. Are you ordering your next glass?
I am. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry,
You're
you guys.
fine. No.
Michaela, say hi to the people, Michaela. Hi, how's it
Hello,
going?
Michaela.
Can you please get me a glass of Sauvignon Blanc? Thank you. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. And this is what it's all about. It's all about the experiences. And I love that you are somewhere where you gain inspiration, number one. And then
It is
number
one of my favorite places in the world.
I know when we were talking about doing this interview, you were telling me, you were like, you said the only thing is that we needed to plan it around your trip to Napa. And I said, hey, I'm here for it. I just wish I could be there with you.
I wish you could be here too, because it's always such a good time. So I'm here at Hall Winery in St. Helena. It's an amazing, amazing, amazing winery.
Let me just ask you, my meeting planner side is kicking in.
Yeah.
Do they have a lot of meeting space and places that you can kind of privatize if you're having a private event? Or
Absolutely. So you and I, we can go on that. Like, it's amazing. The vineyards are beautiful. They actually have a large farmhouse on the side where I've done private events. They have an amazing commercial kitchen. They also have a demonstration kitchen, which I've cooked in. I love it. Like a little bit of history, I actually was going to work for the family who owns the vineyards back in the day.
wow.
When I was doing meetings for BioRad, they offered me a job. But at that time, I couldn't uproot my then 14-year-old, who's now 28, 27. He's 27. I don't know.
Oh my goodness. I still can't believe that. I still can't believe you're grandma.
I am a grandma. You don't have to keep saying it.
Because you're a hot grandma.
I'm
God
Noni.
rest my grandma's soul, but my grandma didn't look like you.
Hold on. I'm Noni. I'm not grandma. Noni.
Noni.
But Hall has always been one of my favorite places. My actual wine director, Ryan Williams, actually works here, and he's the one that got me into drinking red wine. So, I'm so jealous. You know, shout out to Ryan. He's the one that turned me in. Ryan turned me into a wine snob. So,
I love it. Well, if you're going to be some kind of snob, you might as well be a wine snob.
You might as well be a wine snob and a food snob.
There you go.
So,
absolutely.
I'm just really, really excited about, about being able to bring people together. So last week I did an underground, don't tell anybody, I did an underground food and wine industry night at the restaurant. And I invited other chefs, I invited other restaurateurs, liquor distributors, winemakers, just everybody that's in the industry, because I really wanted to get together so that people could meet each other, because there's a lot of new hot upcoming chefs that are amazing. And it wasn't really my idea. So Chef Brandon of Salt and Fire, a really good friend of mine, is the one that called me one night in the middle of the night and was just like, hey, let's do this. Let's get everybody together. We need to talk. And I was just like, okay. So then, of course, we got there and Brandon didn't want to talk. And he's just like, you're the mouthpiece. You go talk.
Well, you draw everybody in, and you know that we've been at dozens of events together, and people just flock towards you. One, because you know what you're talking about when it comes to food and beverage, but beyond that, you just have this personality that everybody loves. So
I think you're a little biased.
I am.
But it's okay. No, it's okay. But we really wanted to talk about how we could be a community, because we can't really focus on the community at large until our food community and our wine community come together. How can we support the community at large if we're like at odds?
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? And
so it was a healing session that centered around food and beverage. Is that what you're telling me?
That's what it was supposed to be. But what it ended up being was freaking amazing. it was a little bit of like what's going on a little bit
Okay.
in the community. It was a meet and greet so that people could meet these young new chefs and some old chefs that have been like hiding behind catering and things like that.
Gotcha.
Who are not so public. But it was an opportunity for everybody to like talk to each other about what we're doing and what help we need. And, it was an opportunity for me to talk about why we don't support each other more.
Gotcha.
But I didn't really get to that because it was so amazing seeing all these professionals together. A lot of times when it comes to other chefs and restaurateurs, I kind of lose my voice a little bit because I'm standing in awe, like, oh my God, I'm standing with the Pastenas. They own 4 restaurants in Oakland. And
you're like freaking out a little bit, huh?
I'm freaked out a little bit.
Yeah.
And they're good friends. Chris and Jana are really good friends. And they've always been there to help me through, hurdles like, what do I do about this employee? What do I do about this? Where do you get your to-go boxes from? And things like that.
Right.
And that's what that industry night was for, so that we could call upon each other, so we could come together as a family and be able to support each other as a family, so that we could go out and support our community. There's no reason why 3 out of 6 kids are hungry. I mean, and I think it's even worse. I think it's 4 out of 6. I'm not sure. I do know that there is a population of people, a large population of people who live with hunger every single day. And it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So we joined ranks.
Are you guys partnering with Oakland, Visit Oakland, or any of these other entities within Oakland to kind of make a difference and be impactful?
So now, I'm biased. We love Visit Oakland. Shout out to Ronnie Palma. Ronnie, yay. But we have been partnering with World Central Kitchen, which is an amazing organization that's been providing thousands of meals a day to the Bay Area community. Yeah, they're shout out to World Central Kitchen. They're really doing it. Not only are they feeding the community, but they're keeping doors open for people like me. So for restaurants, for caterers, we're pumping out 400, 300 meals a day.
Wow.
And albeit it's not what we normally charge, but guess what? We can bring people back to work. We can pay our rent so that when shelter in place is over, we don't have some outrageous $28,000 rent bill to pay. I mean, and it's been a blessing. And I think that one of my points for industry night was, how many of you have been doing World Central Kitchen since COVID started? And several people raised their hands. And I was just like, so did you think that you could feed all of the Bay Area by yourself? Why would you not recommend Magnolia Street? Why would you not recommend so-and-so? Why would you not recommend? Because I've been doing World Central Kitchen for 3 weeks, and I've already recruited 4 different caterers and restaurants to come in to start doing the same thing. And so
lifting as you climb. Lifting as you climb.
Get out of that crabs in a barrel mentality. I even hate saying that, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
And the thing is that I think that for our folks, Blacks, Asians, anybody of color, we're so used to having so much stuff taken from us, that we feel like we have to hold everything so that we don't lose anything else.
Right.
And so as a food and wine community, it's my job to go to my sister restaurateur and be like, I got you. You need some to-go plates? You need me to send over so-and-so to wash some dishes? You need me to come and help scoop? What do you need me to do? And the thing is that we're so used to not having that support from each other or from outside that it's foreign to so many people.
Wow.
And that's sad.
It is. It's sad, but you know what? It takes one person to make a difference. And based on what you're sharing with us today, you're that one person that says, hello, as I'm going to lift you as I climb, I'm going to make sure that I'm here to support you. Then guess what? People want to pay that forward because they feel it and they see what it results in. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for making that happen, because you know, I'm from Oakland, and born and raised East Oakland, and that's something that I took away from me when I left East Oakland, went into the military, and started my own family. But that sense of community is everything. I can remember my parents throwing rent parties for people who ran into issues paying their rent, but it was a way for the community to come around food, drinks, and music. And I'm sure a little other pass, but I won't mention that.
Right. I know. Saying. I mean, you used to live in my house that I live in right now.
So with
which
that
I think is the most amazing thing.
For sure. I have to ask you this, because not only are you partnering with other people in the culinary community, I know that you've had several other partnerships. And I just got to brag on you a little bit. I mean, like the NBA, ESPN, like all of these things. And most recently, you were on the Food Network on, tell me about this. Please tell me about this experience.
I didn't win, but it's okay. It's okay.
It doesn't matter. You were there. You were present and accounted for and representing for Oakland, representing for amazing chefs, and also representing for the Blasian community. Can we just say that? So
thank you.
Yes. I love it.
Cheerleading squad here. But thank you so much, because that was, I mean, I will have to say, it's the whole Food Network thing, and we're not done yet. We got some other stuff coming too. But the whole Food Network thing was such, okay, I'm just going to keep it real. Please. When people say, hey, Chef Leilani, I told you, I giggle inside, because I'm just like, dude, I fry chicken and fish for a living. Like, come on. That's not a
difference. You're making a difference when you're doing it.
So when I got the hit, you know, I got an email from Food Network, from the casting company, my casting company, JS Casting Company. And I was just, they were like, hey, we've been following you. And, you know, have you heard of this show? And I was just like, Alex Fornacelli? Absolutely. I watched that show. It's in the first season. I think there's like one more episode left. And so what are you saying? You know, and they're like, would you like to be on the show? You know, and I felt like that teenage girl that's like scared to say yes too soon for a first date or whatever. And I was just like, yes, 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 in my head. And then, you know, the calm and cool collected side was like, we're going to make them wait 24 hours before we say yes.
That's right.
And then it lasted for like 20 minutes. And I was like, yes, absolutely. Yeah, no problem. Like, tell me where I need to go. It was the most amazing experience. I mean, and I'm fortunate because I've heard a couple of nightmares. The contestants and I, we're on a group text. So we talk about once a week, twice a week, depending on what's going on in people's lives.
I often wondered if you guys stayed connected after.
We do. Okay. Shout out to Chef Alyssa, Chef Scott, and Chef Clark. They're amazing. But for me, it was like, wow, like you want me to be on TV with, you know, with other people. So I was thinking, oh, maybe they're going to just have me like on a show with all like non-culinary trained people, you know, because they do stuff like that.
Right.
But everybody on my contestant panel was like culinary trained. I mean, Alyssa, who won, she used to work for the freaking Kremlin. She was like the executive chef for the Kremlin. Like,
that's insane.
Isn't that crazy? And I was just like, wait, you know, and so it was an awesome experience. Alex Fornacelli is absolutely amazing. My heartbeat, like my total mentor. Like I love her to death. Like she could call right now and be like, can you come scramble me eggs? And my ass is going to be on a plane.
I love it. Well, can you come scramble me some eggs? How about that?
Yes, I can. For you, absolutely. I will come scramble you eggs, make you some potatoes.
I love it. I love it. Yeah.
Oxtail hash. I got it.
Look, I'll take it all too. I was so proud of you. I was just like,
thank you.
All I can think is, you know what? Manifest your destiny. And you certainly have done that without a doubt. I
try because at the end of the day, I want to make it worth it. You know, I want my husband at the end of every day I want my husband to feel like, okay, it's kind of okay that she hasn't been home since 4 o'clock this morning.
Right. Right.
For my little son, because I have a small son too. Well, he's not small.
I
He's
love
9.
Can we give Mason a shout out?
Shout out to Mason Asher Baugh, aka the boy, Sassy Pants.
Yes. He's adorable.
He's adorably smart ass, but he gets it from his mama.
I love it.
He gets his snarkiness from me, and then he gets his other stuff from his dad. He gets his other stuff from his dad. I mean, my kid is so used to being in the restaurant. He's been in the restaurant. He's been in the commercial kitchen. He's been to wineries.
Exposing them
early.
Knows
early. I mean, I'm exposing him early. You know, the kind of scary part is, though, I'll bring him to a winery and they're like fawning over Mason. And they're like, hey, Mason, how you doing? You know, blah, blah, blah. And he's just like, hi, can I have grape juice? You know, and then I'm secondary. They're like, oh, hey, Chef Leilani, how are you? Thanks for bringing us Mason.
Well, you know, he's one of the best parts of you, so you can't blame them.
He is. So shout out to my husband for making a good baby.
I love it. I just have to let everyone know. So how Leilani and I are connected, her husband is my cousin. And so it's amazing how it all comes together. Family, friends, and you work together, you partner together, but it's amazing when you share a connection with someone that not only do you respect in their space, their culinary space, but also as family. So just had to
absolutely. I mean, I have to give it to him. You know, he can be a little rigid sometimes.
Just a little bit.
That's that Kojic background, but shout out to the Kojics. I'm Catholic, but you know, my husband has never tried to stop me from doing anything. He's been kind of ride or die. He's been kind of like, okay, you're switching jobs again. Okay, sure, no problem.
Well, what can you blame him? He has a beautiful wife that can burn up in the kitchen in the best way possible. Hello, why wouldn't you? You would want to support that for sure.
But Cheryl, you know the man is the one that cooks, and I don't cook. He cooks.
But you share your love to the masses. I'll give that. You share your culinary love to the masses.
I did cook for him last night.
Good. Okay.
I made him jambalaya, and he was very happy.
Can you put a little bowl off to the side for me, please?
I got you. I'm going to freeze it so that when you come, it'll be ready.
I love it. Well, I'm going to jump around. I know we're going to start winding down a little bit, but one of the things that I noted on your website and just that I see how you interact with people in the community, you say, for the culture, for my city. Tell me where you got that tagline and what that means to you.
So when I was approached with the project at Magnolia Street, I was already in a brick and mortar. I was by the police station on 5th Street. Mm-hmm. So shout out to Stephanie Sullivan of Bricks 581. I had done an event there for a client of hers, and unknown to me, she and her husband had been kind of watching what I was doing. Gotcha. So when the slot became available for a chef to come in, they came to me and they were like, hey, you know, we need somebody to run the food. We got the bar. We need somebody to run the food. Gotcha. And I was just like, okay. And they were like, it could be your menu, your restaurant. We just care about the bar. And I was just like, okay. And what they offered was cheaper than what I'd been paying in a commercial kitchen, where I couldn't have people sit down. I couldn't have my clients enjoy a glass of wine or beer or a cocktail. And I was like, this is awesome. This is perfect. And I never wanted a restaurant. And it was your cousin who said, you want a restaurant, don't you? And I was like, no, I don't. It's a headache. My uncle had a restaurant and blah, 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 blah. He had 2 restaurants. It was horrible. No. And he was getting up every morning at 4 o'clock in the morning. Who wants to do that? Da, 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 da. And then
what are you doing?
And then I had a restaurant. And he was just like, so you didn't want a restaurant, right? And I was just like, I know. I'm so sorry. So sorry.
But look how successful it is. I mean, you're doing wonderful things, and I'm hearing nothing but wonderful things, and I'm all the way down here in San Diego.
I mean, it's been amazing. We have a really good clientele. We have a really good customer base, you know, but for my city, for my culture, is really been about West Oakland. You know, my great grandmother had a house on Magnolia, which is now owned by American Steel. And we were raised there. I mean, I slept between my grandmother and my great grandmother until I was like 16.
Wow.
Because I loved both of them so much. And that's how I slept. You know, my mom was in school and working. So I stayed with my grandmothers between my two grandmothers and my great grandmother. You know, that was my base. And so when the opportunity came to come to San Pablo, I was just like, San Pablo, I used to sneak up there to see the ladies in the pretty fur, you know. And
who were the ladies in the pretty fur?
They were so pretty, and they were always like, "Hey, baby, how you doing? You coming to get some candy?" And I was like, But
and who were those ladies, Leilani?
I was like, I want to know why you have on a fur in June, but you're so pretty. You know, I've watched so many iterations of the California Hotel in San Pablo. You know, going from amazing cultural music and, you know, just Dizzy Gillespie, Eartha Kitt. I wasn't alive like back then, but from what I hear, it was a hub for jazz and blues.
Yes.
And then, you know, then it had its other heyday. And then
stimulating the economy in one way or another. Let's just put it that way.
Exactly. But the opportunity to come back and create a space where people could come for good wine, because let's just be real. And I love my Black wine lovers group, but let's just be honest. Black people and Chinese people need to learn about wine. Like, I need all y'all to get off the Moscato. All of you.
Who's drinking Moscato?
All of our cousins.
Oh, them. Okay.
No Moscato. We got to let all of that go. I mean, wine offers such a freaking variety of like culture, and, you know, if you can't travel, because we in the COVID, travel through your wine.
Well, not only that, but can you say this, travel through your wine and the food pairings? I think part of it is that we have not necessarily been educated in pairing wines and foods together. And, you know, you have accessibility to, I will say that. But as you continue to educate yourself and expand your horizons in the culinary realm, as well as in your beverages, even if it's, even with not only wines, but bourbons and vodkas and everything. Because I'm a vodka girl myself.
Now, you know I'm a vodka. Ooh, I was going to say, you know I'm a vodka girl. Yes. My poor husband's probably like, oh my God. But him and my mother, they're probably holding hands praying. I am right now. So my thing is that, you know, my goal for Magnolia was to be able to do wine and food education. Like, my sole purpose in life is to get all of our people off of the Moscato. I really have a really good friend whose wine I sell, and it's delicious, and it's Moscato, but it's not like everybody else's Moscato. Marcus, please don't kill me. It's all about wine education and food education. And when I started drinking wine, I drank the same wine with everything. Okay. And it was the Beringer. Was it the Beringer? Yeah, the Beringer Sauvignon Blanc, and maybe it wasn't even Beringer. Maybe it was Sutter Home. I have no idea. And shout out to them too, because, you know, y'all keep our Safeway, you know, at the end of the night when you just need a glass.
Yes.
You can always go to Safeway and grab you a Beringer or, you know, something like that. And, you know, so shout out to them. And I'm not speaking, please forgive me, because I'm not speaking down on stuff. No. But for a long time, I was so stuck on, you know, on certain wines, because it was just like, I wanted to be grown up. I wanted to have wine. My mother's a wino. Well, she used to be. She's all retired and stuff now, so I just make her martinis. But, you know, my purpose at Magnolia Street when we finally opened was to be able to educate people about what wine to have with what food. Because it tastes different. It's a
It
different
absolutely does.
experience.
It is a
Your
different experience.
your palate changes. And so it's so amazing and it can be such an experience. And so I wanted to bring that and I wanted to share that at Magnolia, and I really wanted to put back into our community. And so I was raised 2 blocks away. The California Hotel has always had 150 residents, and we feed them once a month. I'm serious. And it's been great because the people who were upstairs were kind of like, when we were moving in, they were like, who you? You know, what you doing? You know, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, we're going to have a restaurant. And they were like, okay. You know, and I think that they were thinking it was going to be another gentrified whatever.
Gotcha.
And then when we were like, okay, everybody come downstairs. We got greens, chicken, macaroni and cheese, da 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 da. For everybody that lives here, come down. They were like, what? And they came down. And it was amazing.
Mm-hmm. Please tell my listeners how to find you. When you're in Oakland, I want them to know where to find you. And yeah, this is your time to plug everything Leilani, Chef Leilani right now, okay?
Okay, let me stop running my mouth. The plug is, so you can follow us on Instagram, The Chef Leilani, Leilani. You can follow us at Magnolia Street Wine Lounge. And on Facebook, it's the same, Leilani Baugh or Magnolia Street Wine Lounge. And you can always call us at 510-205-8540. That's the best way to get your orders in. But we post our menus.
Can you deliver down to San Diego? I mean,
I wish for you, I will put it on dry ice and send it.
I love that. That's what happens when you have the plug, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you. I know our time is winding down, but I just have to tell you, you are a true inspiration. You come from such a rich history and background. And I mean, both of us being from Oakland, that says a lot. Great things and great people come from Oakland. Can I just say that?
They do. Absolutely.
And I'm so fortunate not only to have the connection to you, obviously through family, but also learning. I've been educated in this session that we've had, this episode today, but beyond that, just the friendship and the love that comes along with the food that you give out to everybody, but also it starts from here. So thank you.
I love you so much.
I mean that. You are someone who I look for, and I mean, even as you started venturing off and doing more on the culinary scene, I missed you when I didn't see you at events because we have that connection and we hit them. We're networking, we're in there. And some of our greatest collaborations, I think, that we've done collectively and outside, you know, individually, it's come from all of these different meetings that we've had with people. And one that we've already mentioned is Ronnie, and we just love her so much.
We love Ronnie.
We love
but
us.
Look at you. But look at you. I mean, you have been absolutely a trailblazer in the meetings and event space. I mean, I love the partnerships that you have with all the different people, all of the different organizations that put on those events that we went to. I mean, if I had like a freaking Fortune 500 company, there's nobody else that I would want to plan my stuff than you. And
thank you for saying that.
It's your level of detail and the care that goes into it. And what I always say about you is that it is all about the experience, and it's an individual experience. I think for you, the way I see it is that as a group, you're like, great, okay, the group was good. But what about the introvert that has never talked at a meeting, that never spoken at a meeting? Are they okay? Right. What about that single mom that's leaving her kid for the first time? Is she going to be okay? Is she going to be able to get to her? Like, you put so much detail into your attendees that it makes it okay. Like, I would take PTO to attend one of your meetings if I was still in corporate.
Well, thank you. I love it.
Well, and I'm sure people have, Cheryl. I mean, you know, as far as incentive packages and things like that go, you know, I think that you have such a robust, like, trunk to offer people, even in the time of COVID. You know, meetings and events have changed so drastically in this time. And I think that you can be, and you probably already are, because we haven't really talked about what you've been doing, but you probably are one of those planners that's just like, let's look outside of the box. How can we do this? How can we still keep our employees motivated? What can we do? How can we, talk about best practices? How can we still, have a level of cohesiveness, a level of excitement about our company and what we're going through? And if people don't know, they need to know. They need to call you.
Thank you for saying that. That is one of the best compliments I've received. And I really appreciate that. And I appreciate the fact that you see in me what I want others to see and that you support me in that. So thank you, my sister, for supporting me.
Absolutely.
Thank you for
Absolutely.
joining me. I mean, this is something I'm so incredibly proud of you and all of the things that you're doing. And anytime you want to come back here and be on this
I'll be
platform,
there. I'll be there in a couple weeks.
I love it. Well, I look forward to us connecting. How about that?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I always like to end with an opportunity for you to give any shout outs that you would like to extend to friends, family, foes, or whoever.
Yeah, you said foes? Okay, hold on. That list is long. Okay, so that list is a little too long. So I've done shout outs all this whole time, but I have to say shout outs to Jonna and Chris Pastena for being amazing restaurateur role models. Thank you to Chef Brandon of Salt and Fire for deciding that we should come together as a community, something that I wanted, but I couldn't voice in my soft voice. And he helped me make it happen. It was his idea. So basically he kind of force fed it to me. Shout out to my staff. My staff, although we're only 4 at this moment, they've been absolutely amazing in keeping us afloat and making sure that the food is amazing for you guys. And then shout out to my husband and my family for always supporting everything I do. My husband is very conservative. He is very, very pessimistic. And the fact that he lets me do what I want to do, I don't think he has a choice sometimes,
Happy
but for the
wife,
most part,
happy life.
happy wife, happy life. He's been amazing. So shout out to him. And most importantly right now, shout out to you. Shout out to you for making this platform available and for people to see what other people do and what they go through and how it can happen. There are so many people out there with dreams unrealized dreams because they're scared.
Yeah.
And the bottom line is I'd rather fried chicken and sell it on the side of a freeway than to go back to corporate. So if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Well, on that note, I'm going to leave with that positivity and just say, may all of your experiences be great. And thank you again for joining us on All About the Experiences.
Thank you for having me, Cheryl. I love you.
I love you.